My name is Sylvia Pelcz-Larsen. I was born in Spain, and then my father was in the Navy, and from what I understand, my parents met in Norway, where my mom is from, and he was in the Navy, so they were traveling around. I was born in Spain, but then we quickly moved to the US, and then at the age of probably 4 or 5, my parents separated, and my brother and I were brought back to Norway. So I grew up in Norway, and I lived in Norway from about probably 4 or 5 till about 13. And then we moved back to the States. And there's a lot of history there. I could spend a lot of time talking about that, which probably we don't need to for the interview unless it comes up. And then I just don't want to get too sidetracked with that. But we moved back here, and I went to a series of boarding schools where I continuously got expelled. And then, right, all in the name of rebellion. And then over time, I ended up living in Boulder. I've moved around the U.S. quite a bit, but I ended up living in Boulder, and I really, really like it here. This is where I feel really grounded. Well, I do this sound healing work, and all of the sounds that I use are calibrated to the planets. And so my spiritual path, I think, really involves an entry into everything, including the earth, but everything that's beyond too, that there is this incredible truth, light, God, energy that permeates the whole cosmos. And when I use these tools, I really feel like I actually tap into that, and the spirituality or the truth or whatever information runs through me as I'm working helps me understand something in a much greater context than just going to work and paying bills. I think when I'm using sound and synchronizing with that nature, as I have a client on the table, there's a dynamic energy that happens when the client, myself, and all of these, cosmic forces, including earthly forces, when all of that comes together, it reveals information that I can't really tap into in many other contexts. It's almost like in the Hindu tradition, there is something called Sam Yama, and also Samadi, where 3 qualities of consciousness merge. And I really feel like when I do my work, I actually do experience Samadi in varying degrees. Sometimes extremely profound, and sometimes it's just kind of a fleeting experience. But I think there's an innate archetypal quality that reveals itself through my work. And to me, that is part of what I would consider the energy of God to be when it expresses itself. Probably the one big moment where my eyes were at least open to the possibilities of what we're talking about started with an unbelievable back pain. And I flew out to California to do some work at a convention there, and I actually experienced this sound healing work for myself. And the initial the initial response I had to it was sitting at I think it was a Marriott or something at the San Francisco airport. And the view out the window wasn't really anything astounding. But when I had this work applied on my body, I really had this huge realization of what an incredible planet it is that we live on. That the planet is so amazing, and it's this jewel turning in the light of its sun, and we live on it, and it has these trees, and it has these rivers and oceans and animals and people and all these incredible things. And all of that in just a few moments all became clear to me really, really, really quickly. The whole saying of we need to step out on a limb, I think that's totally wrong. I don't think the limb is there. I think we have to step into, the unknown and have trust that the limb is going to grow in time for when we put our foot down. That it takes an enormous amount of trusting that there is something that's actually guiding us through the experience that we're collectively experiencing right now. Because really, I personally believe that it's so big that it's almost impossible for the three-dimensional conscious mind to actually grasp the vastness of what's happening. Because I don't think that we can live on the planet with the consciousness that we have had up until this point. And Einstein said that we can't solve problems with the type of thinking that created the problems in the first place. So I think we're in the process of kind of becoming a new human race, so to speak, that we just have to change our entire relationship to what's happening on the planet and change our relationships. And I really do believe that we're laying down a foundation for a sustainable, beautiful place, like a mythological golden age. Like, I think we're moving towards that. I think we're really, but it just seems kind of ugly right now because we're having to do a little house cleaning. You know what I mean? Yeah. Well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to play the earth gong, and this gong is calibrated to the movement of the earth around the sun. And this is rooted in, Pythagorean theory, and it was calculated by Kepler in the mid-1600s, and then it was confirmed by a German mathematician, Hans Kusto, in the early, probably in the 1950s. And they're accurate to the 100th hertz, and basically, if we had ears big enough to hear, if we were standing on Venus and Earth came zooming by, this is what it would sound like. So it's the 365 Earth cycle as it moves around the sun with all the 4 seasons. And it's really powerful because it's the sound that connects us to the experience that we're actually having on the planet right now. And for me, this is a much better news report than turning on the TV, because even though it's just a gong sitting right here, it still puts us in the cycle of what the earth is experiencing at this time right now. And it's a very dynamic gong. It sounds very bizarre and strange, but it will sound different on different days. And I really believe that in my experience, I actually do, on some level, experience what the earth as a living being is experiencing as it's just moving through space. It's very, very powerful. So I'll start by warming it up a little bit. And actually, I'll play the one below it too, kind of play them together. The one below it is the precession of the equinoxes. It's the 26,000-year cycle of the earth moving through all the signs of the zodiac, which is very vast and expansive, which is key in the Mayan prophecy of what's happening in 2012, which is certainly not the end of the world. It's just the beginning of a whole brand new groovy cycle.
We need to have the microphone, just lay it over the pillow as close to the gongs as possible.
We're pretty loud.
Well,
let's see. There. Let's
Actually, probably move the pillow because it's in the way of the...
Oh no, the little...
Oh, that's fine.
The little cushion fell off of it.
Yeah, we'll find it. Actually, take the pillow away because it's in the... Yeah, it's blocking the...
Rudy?
Yeah, are we just going to be with the 2 gongs or the ones on the right as well?
Yeah, let's start with these.
Okay.
Pretty special time.
Thank you.
Thank you.